Hello and welcome to a new vlog and trip report, and today we are traveling with a train in Italy. We are going from Savona to Cairo Montenotte, and here on the map you can see our approximate route today, which is pretty interesting. But first let's take a look at our train arriving at the station of Savona, where we will start our interesting journey today. Before I start explaining a bit more about the train, just let me tell you that I do not speak Italian, and therefore I apologize for any mispronounced cities or names, and I hope that all information in this video is correct, because it's quite hard to find information on Italian trains in German or English, which are my languages, so that's why I hope everything is correct. Our train today is a locomotive of the class E464, and our coaches today are class MD-VC coaches. Now we can take a look at the interior, which is quite nice and comfortable. My train today was a regional train, only consisting of a second class, 3 coaches of this type, all second class, and 2 locomotives, one at each end of the train. We will take a closer look at the locomotives later on, but the quite interesting point about those locomotives is that they only have one cab, so they can only be used in one direction, but they will be always used with cars and either a second locomotive or a cab car. Also, the railway line that we are on today is very interesting, because from Savona to Cairo to San Giuseppe di Cairo there are 2 different railway lines, and we are now using the western railway line for our way to Cairo Montenotte. And the first quite interesting part of this railway line is a helical tunnel, which we can see now. Of course, it's quite hard to actually see a helical tunnel, as we are in a tunnel obviously, but some parts of this helical turn are not in the tunnel, so I think you could see that we're always going to turn to the right. Meanwhile, we've reached a stop in between at the city of Altare. Only the regional trains are stopping here. There are also some regional express trains going to Torino. They are not stopping at the stations in between. And here we are reaching San Giuseppe di Cairo, which is where we will meet the eastern railway line from Savona again. And also from here there are 2 different railway lines continuing on, one to Torino and the other one to Alessandria. We are continuing for 1 station on the line to Alessandria until we reach Cairo Montenotte. Here in the background you can see the line to Torino. The regional trains are going to Alessandria and the regional express trains are going to Torino. And we are now approaching the next stop, Cairo Montenotte, which is where I left the train, waiting for my train to go back. I actually planned to just go to San Giuseppe di Cairo, but I had a lot of time in between my trains, and so I wanted to spend it in a more interesting city, and that's why I chose Cairo Montenotte. And here we just saw my train leaving the station, continuing on to Alessandria, and now we can take a look at the city Cairo Montenotte, which is an absolutely beautiful city. It is exactly what you would expect from a northern Italian city. It is very, very beautiful, and I was happy that I got a chance to visit this magnificent city, even though it was just a bit more than 30 minutes that I had in the city, but it was just a walk of about 5 minutes from the station to the city center, so I had 20 minutes to spend in this interesting city with a lot of shops, markets, and also nice buildings. So I can highly recommend going to Cairo Montenotte and spending a bit of time there. If you are traveling with the train in Italy, make sure to validate your ticket. This is very important. If the ticket is not validated, it is like traveling without a ticket at all. At this station the machine was broken, so in this case you have to go to the conductor and tell him immediately. We are now back in the train and we can take a closer look at the interior. We have power sockets, small tables, foldable armrests and very, very comfortable seats. Meanwhile, we are back in San Giuseppe di Cairo and now we're using the Eastern railway line to Savona. That's why I chose the regional trains, because they have stops in between, and so you can check out which railway line your train is using. The regional express trains do not have stops in between, so there's not possible to check which railway line they will be using. Just coming back to the fact that you have to validate your ticket, it is really, really very important otherwise, because it's a common mistake by tourists in Italy to not validate a ticket and then they are traveling without a valid ticket, which can be very expensive. It happens quite a lot that the machines are broken, so please go to the conductor of the train immediately and tell them that the machine was broken, and then they will validate the ticket for you. Otherwise, you also are traveling without a valid ticket. We now turn to the left, so we're now using the Eastern line back to Savona. And in the background you can see a cable car for freight coming all the way from Savona. That's quite interesting. Also, the regional trains are not stopping at all stations. Some stations have been closed, others are only used at certain times of the day, so that's why we just passed the station without stopping, even though we are a regional train. The older railway line that we are on right now, the Eastern railway line, is a bit more scenic than the newer line, as it has less tunnels and therefore we can see more of the beautiful landscape. This line was the first to exist, and then they wanted to have a second track, but that was not possible due to the mountains, so they had to build a complete new railway line, and that's why we have two different railway lines from Savona to San Giuseppe di Cairo. In my opinion, this one is far more beautiful because we have way more fantastic views, so make sure if you're going to Savona to sit on the right side, and if you're coming from Savona going to San Giuseppe di Cairo, make sure to sit on the left side, so that you will be able to enjoy the fantastic views. The most beautiful views are close to Savona, very close to the only station that we were stopping with this train right now, and that was the station of Santuario. As you have seen also on the way back, I'm traveling with the same cars and the same locomotives, so it was the same train like on my way to Cairo Montenotte. And I also have to tell that it was not the perfect weather on this day, and also the window was a bit dirty, so it's not looking as nice as it was looking in reality. So trust me, it is a very, very beautiful and scenic railway line, and I can highly recommend doing that. We're now approaching Santuario, and in a short moment between two tunnels you have this fantastic view here, and here we are reaching the stations. In the stations, the stops might take a little bit longer because there you have to wait for oncoming trains, especially for the regional express trains, and if they are delayed, you also have to wait a bit longer. Here we can see an oncoming regional express train, even with a cab car, but otherwise they are using the same cars and the same engines. Also, one thing you need to know if you're traveling by train in Italy, Italian trains might not be running exactly on time. In this case, my train was leaving about 10 minutes later than planned without any notice, and that can happen everywhere in Italy because the trains are not actually that much on time in Italy. So I would recommend the same that I will always recommend to you when you're traveling by train in Germany. So I would recommend planning a lot of extra time if you need to change trains, and make sure to not book any risky connections, because it's quite common that trains are delayed, also in Italy. Otherwise, it is very interesting to travel by train in Italy because they have very beautiful trains and a lot of beautiful railway lines. So of course, also I will be back in Italy for sure to make some more vlogs and train videos here. Whilst approaching Savona, we are crossing the western railway line, and then we're connecting with it again and going into the station of Savona. There we can take another look at the locomotive of the train, and then I went back to my cruise ship, the Costa Fortuna. You've already seen everything from this day in the last video. In the next video we will jump to Barcelona and take a look at the metro of Barcelona. Here we are now approaching the station of Savona. In this case I chose this railway line and this train because I wanted to see this interesting railway line, but as you can see in the background there are also a lot of other interesting trains in Italy. So as I said, there will be hopefully more videos from Italy soon. And here I'm leaving the train, and now you can take another look at the engine. As I said, they only have one cab, which is quite unique, otherwise quite a nice modern locomotive. Here we can see at the other end of the locomotive we have a luggage compartment, and then we have the regular cars. And now we're heading to the exit of the station, as I said. And that's it for this video now. I hope it was interesting for you. As always, here you can see the name of the song and when the next video will be uploaded. And I would like to say thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, please consider to comment, like or share the video link. And if you want to see more train and travel videos, make sure to follow, and I hope to see you in my next video.